Hey YouTube, so I've been studying for Security Plus recently, and I've had a hard time because some of the questions and answers just seem incorrect with some of the dumps that are online. So far this is the best website I've used. It's called Exam Topics, and pretty much they cover the questions that you would get on the Security Plus exam. So I know some people study better in groups. I was hoping maybe we can do this together, and along the way I'll try to explain some concepts. I'm still studying myself, but I did quite a bit of studying already. So if I can explain something, I will. Let's get started. So the first question is a drag and drop. So these are stimulation questions that come up during the exam. You can get part marks for getting some of the questions right. You don't have to get the whole thing right, but better if you do. So which of the following would go under smartphone, so company managed smartphone, and which ones would go under the terminal server? So right off the bat, lock screen you have on a phone. You don't necessarily have a lock screen on a server, so lock screen would go here. Strong password would go on both. Device encryption, I would put that under smartphone. GPS under smartphone. Pop-up locker, I don't think this is needed on either of them. Cable locks, I don't think you need that on either of them. I think there's better ways to secure a terminal server, so definitely leaving that one out. Antivirus, not really going to put that anywhere. Host-based firewall, I'll definitely put on the data center terminal. Proximity reader, so this is for when you enter a room. If you have the card or whatever it is, the proximity reader can read that and allow you access, so I would put that towards the data terminal. And then the sniffer, I wouldn't actually put this anywhere. A sniffer is basically for collecting packets. So something like Wireshark would use a sniffer. Not really sure if that goes anywhere. And then we have Mantrap. I would also add that to the terminal server. That prevents more than one person from getting in at a time, so it prevents tailgating. So let's check out the answers here. Lock screen, strong password, device encryption, remote wipe, GPS. Not really sure about the answer here. Cable lock, antivirus. Okay, so clearly it seems like someone just took from here to here, put them here, from here to here, put them there. But the great thing about this website is you have these discussions. And so after I go under discussions, you can just read through it. So lock screen, GPS device. Yeah, see, I think I was correct. I think I'm just going to take my chance with this. I've actually researched this question already. But so some of these do have descriptions, and controls can be used multiple times. That's why we used strong password on both. But as you can see here, the answer looks incorrect. And so this is actually, it's pretty standard. I've seen a lot of incorrect simulations out there. So this is why I'm using this website, because people actually discuss the answers. So it's a lot easier for you to go through and figure out what's right or what's wrong, or even do it yourself. But I find, having a discussion with others is a lot easier. I work better in groups. So this is the next question. So pretty much attacks can be used once, will disappear from the drop down. Okay, so attacker gains confidential company information, and the target is targeted CEO and board members. So as soon as you see CEO and board members, you know it's pretty high up in the company. So let's go through some of these. SPIM is spam through instant message. Vishing is pretty much voice phishing. Phishing is pretty much is when someone sends you an email and they're asking for information. Whaling is when a phishing targets high members of a company. So in this case, the CEO and board members would fall under whaling. Maybe I'll go to spearfish farming. So hoax is pretty much where a pop-up comes up on your computer and it says, hey, you have a virus on your computer. Click this link to get rid of it. So it's actually just lying to you in order to get money out of you. Farming is when you go to a legitimate website, which redirects you to an unlegitimate website. So it's a redirection of traffic. Spear phishing is a targeted phishing attack. The difference between spear phishing and whaling is that whaling is just for high-level people such as the CEO and board members, whereas spear phishing can be maybe just the IT department or members of a particular company. So it's more of a targeted attack as compared to regular phishing. And spoofing is pretty much using someone else's information. So MAC address, IP address, those can all be spoofed. Spam is pretty much spam, is advertisement that you don't want. And Xmas attack, I believe, kind of forgot this one, so I'm going to leave it for now. So attack post links fake antivirus software. Multiple social network people are sharing it on their social networks, and there's a broad set of victims. So in this case, it's fake antivirus software that you're selling, and there's a broad set of victims that are being targeted. So in this case, I would say this is a hoax. The reason being because it's a fake antivirus software. So the next one, attacker collecting credit card details. And this is phone-based victim. So as soon as you see phone-based victim, it's phishing. So this is voice phishing, and I don't know if it's phishing or pishing. Someone said it was pishing. I think it's phishing, but like pharma, PH is pharma. It's not, right? So anyways, next question. Attacker mass mails product information to parties that have already opted out of receiving advertisement. So this one would obviously be spam. There's no other option here. It seems like people who don't want to receive advertisement are receiving it. Let's check out the answers. Spear phishing, definitely not the case. When it's high-level CEOs, it's whaling. Set of broad victims, hoax. We got that one right. They got that one right as well. Phone-based phishing, and this one is definitely spam. So you can see how they got the answers wrong here, and this is why I'm going through and really just sharing with you guys, because this is not correct. So it does give a nice big explanation here, which is pretty good. I mean, a lot of the dumps out there don't have information like this. Drag and drop. So in this case, there's another stimulation, and all objects must be used and placed. Placeholders must be filled. Order doesn't matter. So you can start whenever. And so this is an unsupervised lab. And you got some printers and some laptops. So locking cabinet, not so much. Safe, not so much. CCTV. The only thing that comes to mind here is cable locks, because someone can just take the laptop and leave the lab with it. So cable locks would prevent someone from doing so. And that's what I would put into all of these. Now the office, you have a workstation, a laptop, a printer, and a key box. So as soon as I see key box, I drag safe here. Mantra, proximity badge. Now, how would you get in, right? Usually with offices, you have some kind of like a reader. So I would also drag proximity badge over here just so people can get into the office. Not everyone is allowed into the office, it's only authorized personnel. Data center is even more vital for them to have security. So I would be looking at locking cabinets here. Safe was in the other one. CCTV I would also drag here. Man trap I would also drag here. Biometric reader. I would also drag the biometric reader here. And that's it. And then employee laptops, you would want a biometric reader for the employee laptops as well. So let's see. Cable locks, proximity badge and safe, CCTV. Oh, there is a proximity badge here. I missed that one. Man trap, locking cabinets, biometric reader. And then there's also biometric readers for all the employee laptops. Next question, which of the following would a security specialist be able to determine upon examination of a server certificate? So when you check a server certificate, what do you see? You don't see that, you don't see that. This is actually just a request. So it's a certificate request. This you do see. So the OID is the correct answer here. And you can even quickly just, check. So certificate valid, you just click on the certificate and you can see information. And so this is the OID. Yeah, there's even like details here. Valid from, valid to. So it's OID. The next one, a security analyst is diagnosing an incident in which a system was compromised from an external IP address. The socket identified on the firewall was traced to this IP address. Which of the following should the security analyst do to determine if the compromised system still has an active connection? So traceRT, what does that do? This is for Windows. It pretty much checks, it traces your connection from one IP to the other. You could, I guess, put this IP in there and trace it all the way through. Socket was identified on the firewall. Yeah, so you can run a tracer to the end there. That would make absolute sense. Netstat is pretty much network statistics. Ping, I mean, that would not work. You just ping their IP address. That wouldn't really do anything. And NS lookup, so that's, no, that's not it either. So, ooh, traceRT. Let's figure out why. Command looks like ping is good. OpenCMD run netstat. This will show you connections listed, established. Ooh, so it is netstat. Okay, so it's netstat, shows you whether there's listening established or closed networks. So the answer is netstat. Why is it not traceRT? No idea. I'm just going to go with it. Multiple organizations operating. Oh, because this would just check how exactly the connection is going through, like how many steps you have to take in order to get to the final IP address. It wouldn't actually check if there's established connection. Established connection would be netstat. So netstat minus A gives you all of the information. Yes, that is correct. Multiple organizations operating in the same vertical want to provide seamless wireless access for their employees as they visit other organizations. So one organization visiting another, they want to have wireless access for everyone within this group. Which of the following would be implemented if all organizations use 802.1x client on their mobile devices. So this is one answer. Every time I see 802x, that means there's three things. There's a authenticator. Kind of don't have my notes in front of me right now, but there's an authenticator. There's two other parts to it. One of the parts you have to use radius, and radius federation pretty much would work with one organization to another. So that is the correct answer. Yep. Which of the following best describes an important security advantage yielded by implementing vendor diversity? So by not having to depend on one vendor, when you're able to depend on multiple vendors, what does it provide? Sustainability? Homogeneity? Not really this. Sustainable means that you can keep the business going. Resilience. So if one business shuts down, you can rely on the other. I would go with resiliency. Configurability. That means adding or subtracting parts, being able to configure, but I'm going to go with resilience here. And it's resilience. In a corporation where compute utilization spikes several times in a year, the CIO has requested a cost-effective architecture to handle this variable capacity demand. Which of the following characteristics best describes what the CIO has requested? So cost-effective architecture, variable demand. So elasticity is pretty much being able to pretty much like elastic, like you stretch it out, it's able to stretch out and then it kind of compresses. So I would go with elasticity. Scalability is your ability to grow quickly and add parts. High availability means you have pretty much things on availability all the time. Let's say you have 5 employees, they're available all the time. Probably not. This is more with robots, but and then redundancy is pretty much having a backup. So you have one server and then you have a backup server. So that's redundancy, having more than one. That's so if one fails, you can rely on the other. I would go with elasticity because utilization, several spikes. So spikes several times a year, meaning you need to increase and decrease as seen fit. So elasticity is defined to the degree with which a system is able to adapt to workload changes by provisioning or deprovisioning resources in an autonomic manner. So that's pretty much the answer. A system engineer is configuring a system that requires X509 certificate information to be pasted in a form field in base64 encoded format to import it into the system. What? Which of the following certificate formats should the engineer use to obtain the information in the required format? Base64, I would go with PFX. Oh, it's PEM. All right, why? PEM. Base64, okay, well, it's PEM. PEM is derived from privacy enhanced mail format, but this applies PEM certificates. I'm not sure if this is giving any information. Just go with PEM. PEM it is, yeah, that's exactly it. Which of the following attacks specifically impact data availability? So data availability, meaning you have access to the data. DDoS is basically a denial of service attack. Trojan is basically when you install a legitimate program, but it has a virus. Man in the middle is someone, copying information and being able to read it. And rootkit is pretty much a virus installed in the kernel of your computer with like administrative access. So I would go with DDoS, because that's the only one that goes with data availability. So you have to read the question. Let's take a look at the answer. It is DDoS. All right. I am not a robot. Okay. Palm trees. I did not. I don't know if that's a palm tree or not. Let's just go with it. All right. Okay, question 11. So it took us a while to get through this, but there's 100 questions in total. All right, let's do this. A security analyst is hardening a server with a directory service role installed. The analyst must ensure LDAP traffic cannot be monitored or sniffed. So this is basically saying no one can intercept the traffic and maintains compatibility with LDAP clients. Which of the following should the analyst implement to meet these requirements? Generate a X509 compliance certificate that is signed by a trusted certificate authority. Oh, by the way, get good with acronyms. For some reason, these guys love acronyms. So sometimes, the answer might say MFA, and you have to know that that's multi-factor authentication. I had to learn it the hard way. So not install and configure an SSH tunnel on the LDAP server. Implement these requirements. So the requirement is it cannot be monitored or sniffed and maintains. So you have to, one, make sure it can't be intercepted, and two, that it works with the LDAP. So can this work with it? Not exactly sure. I know SSH tunnel means that it can't be monitored or sniffed because it's a socket, secure socket layer tunnel. Secure socket, that's SSL. SSH is on port on port 43, I believe it is, and it's a secure way of communication. So this makes perfect sense to me. Sure. You know what? I'm not really sure. Let's check the answers. So generate a compliant certificate and ensure port 636 is open. So let's see why. So port 636 is a known TCP port for SSL, making the answer D over C. The standard is widely used digital certificate because breach of LDAP can be quite serious. Some people use secure LDAP. With secure LDAP, all communication must be encrypted. Okay, so secure socket layer was the right answer. I just didn't. SSH is over a firewall. SSL is secure communication. Okay. Good to know. So it's these two. Which of the following threat actors is most likely to steal a company's proprietary information to gain a market edge and reduce time to market? So steal a company's proprietary information. Your competitor would want to do that. A hacktivist, market edge, they won't get a market edge. Insider would not get a market edge unless they're, planning to be our competitor. And organized crime, no. So this is mainly because it's proprietary information. Now, if it was company's money, yes, it would be organized crime. A penetration tester is crawling a target website that is available to the public. Which of the following represents the actions the penetration tester is performing? So URL hijacking is pretty much taking over the URL of a company. Reconnaissance is actively doing testing, checking, how the company site works, looking for some kind of vulnerabilities. White box testing is when a company invites a group of testers to pretty much gives them information and have them perform a vulnerability test. So they tell them about their system, and then the people will actually actively go and test. So that's definitely not it. An escalation of privilege occurs when you have a regular account, but somehow you get more privileges than you're able to. So, for example, maybe someone has access to payroll information by accident, or there's just no controls in place. So it's pretty much reconnaissance. This penetration tester is on the website, and they're pretty much seeing what it is that can be done on this website, where the vulnerabilities are. It doesn't necessarily mean there's a white box test, because in a white box test, you have to have information available from the company. So the correct answer is B, reconnaissance. Which of the following characteristics differentiate a rainbow table attack from a brute force attack? So a rainbow table is where they already have a table set up, and it has information in there already, so it makes it much faster. Brute force is where they basically try to crack your password by trying all the different combinations. A rainbow attack greatly reduces compute cycles at attack time. True. Rainbow tables must include pre-computed hashes. I believe that might be true too. Rainbow table attacks do not require access to hashed passwords. No, that's incorrect. Rainbow table attacks must be performed on the network. Incorrect. Rainbow table attacks bypass. This is also correct. Rainbow tables must include pre-computed hashes. All right, let's see. So it wasn't that they greatly reduced compute attack time, it was pre-computed hashes and maximum login restrictions. But let's see what the discussions are. There's clearly a lot of discussions here, so maybe the answers are wrong. That is actually true. Both of them do that. So it's not really a difference, it's a similarity. Hash, then the hash is compared. Find out what the password is, therefore the password attempt counter is never increased. Okay, so A is not correct. So it's B and E. A rainbow table includes pre-computed hashes. Rainbow table attack bypass the maximum failed login restrictions. Which of the following describes routines in which semicolons, dashes, quotes, and commas are removed from a string? Error handling to protect against program exploitation. Exception handling to protect against cross-site reference attack, cross-site something attack. Input validation to protect against SQL injections, padding to protect against string buffer flow. Following describes which are removed. Oh, okay, so this is saying when you're entering information, which of the ways, do companies kind of remove all of these other things? So I think the error handling, I think this is it. Input validation. So this checks, all the type of inputs that you can put. So, whether it be numbers or A, B, C, D, or whatever it is, I believe it is C. Yes. So this is input validation. It checks whether your entry meets the requirements that it has. So that is the correct answer. Next question. A security analyst wishes to increase the security of an FTP server. FTP is File Transfer Protocol. Currently, all traffic to the File Transfer Protocol server is unencrypted. So you'd want to use a secure File Transfer Protocol. Users connecting to this use a variety of modern File Transfer Protocol softwares. The security analyst wants to keep the same port and same protocol while also allowing unencrypted connections. Oh, okay. The security analyst wants to keep the same while allowing unencrypted connections. Require the secure file transfer protocol to connect to the file server. Use implicit TLS, so tunnel layer security. Use explicit. So this is also, I guess, secure file transfer. Use SSH tunnel to encrypt the FTP traffic. Let's see. Use explicit FTPS for connections. The key part of this question is modern FTP. Explicit FTPS is the newer model and generally overtaken implicit FTPS use, with the exception of legacy systems. When FTPS is used, a traditional FTP connection is established on the same standard port as FTP. Once a connection is made, a secure SSL connection is established via port 21. All right, next question. Feel free to skip at any point in time. Which of the following explains why vendors publish MD5 values when they provide software patches for their customers to download over the internet? MD5 is not secure. Okay, let's see. The recipient can verify the integrity of the software patch. The recipient can verify the authenticity of the site used to download the patch. The recipient can request future updates to the software using the published MD5 value. The recipient can successfully activate the new software patch. I believe it's for integrity. Why would you use, I've never heard of anyone using a different website to download security patches. Yeah, I would go with A, but yeah, it's A. Refer to the following code: public class rainbow, public status void main, subject object blue equals null blue hash code. Which of the following vulnerabilities would occur if this is executed? So blue equals null and blue dot hash code. This is one of those complicated questions. I'm not sure if you guys studied it. I'm going to go with null pointer exception, because if object blue equals null, there's 22 discussions. So maybe the right answer isn't so right after all. Let's check. Missing null check. I think the answer is basically responding to another question. I think the correct answer is D, missing null check. Okay, well, I guess at the end of the code, they should have had the null check. You know what? There's just too much material to study for me to actually go deep into this. Multiple employees receive an email with a malicious attachment that begins to encrypt their hard drive and map shares on their device when it is open. The network and security teams perform the following: shut down all network shares, run an email search identifying all employees who received the malicious message, re-image all devices to users who open the attachment. Next, the team wants to re-establish the network shares. Which of the following best describes the phase of the incident? So I guess out of all the different phases, these are the phases that they took so far. Shut down means, I would say, containment run, so this would pretty much, this would be, they've already eradicated it, so they've gotten rid of it. So first thing they did was contain it, then they got rid of it. Now they're on recovery. So recovery is the right answer. An organization has determined it can tolerate a maximum of 3 hours of downtime. Which of the following has been specified? So these are basically acronyms. So recovery time objective, recovery point objective, mean time before failure, mean time to recover. So this is a maximum of 3 hours of downtime. So it's definitely not mean time for either of these. So it's either time, it's either of these: recovery time objective or recovery point objective. Maximum 3 hours of downtime. Recovery. I would say it's recovery time. Okay. So that is the correct answer. All right. Which of the following types of keys is found in a key escrow? So key escrow, there's 2 keys. I believe it's a private key. So public keys are available on the public network. Yeah, it is a private key. So here they showed Professor Messer. I think his videos are pretty good. A security analyst is reviewing the following output from an IPS intrusion prevention system: exploit IGMP, IGAP message overflow attempt, classification attempted, administrative privilege gain, priority 1. So this is an intrusion prevention system. And so there's an overflow attempt. attempted administrative privilege gain. So the source of the IP attack is coming from so I believe it's coming from 250, this one right here. That's where it's coming from. This is where it's coming to. So it's B for one of them. So it says select two. The attacker sent a malformed IGAP trigger alert. So IGAP is what they sent. IGAP. So let's see. Yep. So it was this one, and it's here. So sometimes these things get daunting. Just try to figure out as best as you can. Next question, despite having implemented password policies, users continue to use the same weak passwords and reuse old passwords. Which of the following technical controls would prevent these policy violations? So password expiration would expire a password, password length, password complexity. So here the issue is one, weak passwords and people reusing passwords. So you want the password to expire so people can't reuse old actually password history would do that. So you can't use old passwords. Password history would prevent you from reusing old passwords. Password expiration would be in terms of age. So how long have you had the password? So after 1 year, if you want to retire the password and have them use a new password, that would be password expiration. So the reuse old passwords is password history. Weak passwords is password complexity. So let's go with C and D. C and D, all right. Moving on, which of the following types of cloud infrastructure would allow several organizations with similar structures and interests to realize benefits of shared storage and resources? So private is pretty much when you have your own. Hybrid is when you have some private and some public. Public is when yours is completely public, and community is several organizations with similar structures and interests. So the answer is community. A company is currently using the following configuration: IAS server with certificate EAP-PE MS chap. So basically this is what they had and this is what they want to set up. So PAP authentication method, I believe that's MS chap. So it's going to be one of these. And then they also want PEEP and EAP, provide two-factor authentication. So it's MS chap for PEEP and EAP two-factor authentication and authenticated PAP method. A and C are the only protocols. So key forms of authentication. MS chap is a form of PEEP authentication. PAP is a form of authentication that is password-based. An auditor wants to test the security posture of an organization by running a tool that would display the following: gyms, unique, registered. Which one of the commands is this? I believe it's NBTSTAT. The reason I know it's this one is because I ran this program, this myself, and this is what I got. So that's how I remember. If you run this on command prompt yourself, you will remember way more than if you are studying it and studying the theories. A company determines that it is prohibitively expensive to remain compliant with the new credit card regulations. Instead, the company decides to purchase insurance. What is the company doing? Transferring the risk. So the company is transferring the risk from themselves to the insurance. So they're purchasing insurance because they're not following the rules. I'm not really sure if this is a true example, but this is the answer. Accepting the risk would be just going about their time and just accepting what's going to happen. Avoiding the risk, they would have to put in some sort of thing where they would avoid the risk. Migrating the risk is kind of, I'm not really sure what migrating is. I'm not even sure if that's real. But transferring the risk is what's happening here. I think this is just to throw you off. A company is using mobile device deployment in which employees use personal devices for work at their own discretion. Some problems the company is starting to encounter: no standardization, employees ask for reimbursement, employees do not place their devices often enough to keep them running efficiently, replace their devices, and the company doesn't have any control. So which one would help overcome these problems? BYOD, bring your own device. There would still be no standardization. The employees would still possibly ask for reimbursement. Employees probably aren't going to keep buying new devices if they haven't already. VDI, COPE. This stands for corporate owned personal something. So this is when your device is corporately owned, personally managed. Is that going to solve the issue here? No. CYOD, choose your own device. When you're choosing your device, it's going to be corporate owned. So there will be standardization. You will not ask for reimbursement. You will replace them because the company is going to pay for it. And you will have control over the device. So the option is D. 37 discussions. I don't really care. I'm fairly certain this is the answer, but you can check it out. A botnet has hit a popular website with massive number of GRE encapsulated packets to perform a DDoS attack. News outlets discover a certain type of refrigerator was exploited and used to send outbound packets to the website that crashed. To which of the following categories does the refrigerator belong? SOC. Anyways, it's IoT, Internet of Things. IoT covers basically anything that is able to connect to the internet. So something like a Roomba that's connected to the Wi-Fi is an IoT. Printer, IoT. And if your refrigerator connects to the internet, that's definitely IoT as well. Cameras, IoT, all of that is Internet of Things. The last question for this video: users report the following message when browsing to the company's secure site. This website cannot be trusted. Which of the following actions should the security analyst take to resolve this issue? This happens quite often. So you're supposed to select 2. To verify the certificate has not expired, ensure that the certificate has a PFX extension, update the root certificate, install the updated private key, have users clear their browser. So if you verify that the certificate is not expired on the server, If it is expired, it will show you this message. If it's not expired, it won't show you that. So that sounds a good option. Ensure the certificate has a PFX extension. It seems like this is kind of recent, so I don't really think that's going to be the issue. Update the root certificate into the client computer certificate store. Possibly install the updated private keys. Let's see. Verify it has not expired. Update it. So perfect. So that was 3 pages. There's 100 pages, and that took us about 50 minutes. So I don't know. I think overall, pretty sure you guys have learned a few things. If you weren't sure what the answers were, and yeah, it was my pleasure. Stay tuned for the next videos where we'll go over the next 3 pages. All right.